Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to get booked and get paid, how to generate six figures and more a year through podcast guesting. In today's session with Nicky Billou, he is the founder of eCircle Academy, a New York Times bestselling author of 11 books. He's the host of the #1 global podcast for thought leaders, and he's the world's greatest podcast guesting authority. And his podcast is called The Thought Leader Revolution. Thank you for coming in. What's the secret to your success?
Lily, first of all, it's an honor to be here on your show. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm pleased as all get out to be here. So let me begin by telling you a bit about my backstory. I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, and my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall, right? And he and my mom, they got together, they talked, they made a plan to get out of Iran and permanently resettle us in the West. And they took me and my two younger brothers out of Iran, and we settled eventually where I now live in Toronto, in Canada. Now, at the time, I was a kid. I was 11 years old. I didn't want to leave my home. I didn't want to leave my friends. You know what I'm talking about? But looking back, I could connect the dots and I could see, wow, mom and dad, this was the greatest thing you could have done for me and my two brothers. You took us from a land and a legacy of tyranny to a land and a legacy of freedom. I believe inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet desires to march to the tune of their own drummer. They desire to chart their own course. And I became a champion for freedom. You know, I believe if you're an entrepreneur, you got to be a freedom lover, right? Because without freedom, you don't have free expression. Without free expression, you can't have free enterprise. And without free enterprise, how can you have entrepreneurship? Lily, I believe that entrepreneurship is what's going to save the world. It's more needed today than ever. Capitalism is the way to solve all problems. Every entrepreneur is a problem solver at heart, you know? And that's really the foundation to, I believe, my passion, my fire, and my success. The other part of it is my father. He's the greatest man I've ever known. When I was a young boy, he would tell me all the time, he was a business owner. He'd say, son, life is not about money, son. It's about people. You got to be good to people. And I'm like, okay, Dad. And he said, business, son, is not about money. It's about people. And I'm like, okay, Dad, what are you talking about? Of course, business is about money. Without money, there's no business. I'm 8 years old. I'm telling my dad this. And he said, that's true, son. But without people, there's no need for money to do business. You see, all business is you solve problems for people for a profit. You solve acute problems for amazing people, and you make an awesome profit. That's the awe-inspiring purpose of business. All you have to do is remember that lady sitting in front of you, she's someone's daughter, she's someone's sister, she's someone's wife. She is a hero to somebody. And maybe someone just like you ripped her off in business before. So your job is to restore her faith in humanity. He said, remember, son, everyone needs someone to believe in them. You need someone to believe in you, and you need to be someone who believes in other people. Everybody's belief wobbles once in a while. And what they need on the days that they're beating themselves up is they need a voice in their ear to see who they really are, to see their goodness, and tell them, I believe in you. That little spark of belief, Lily, can turn into this roaring fire. And then they're off into the races. Now, I have a background in marketing. I have a background in sales. I have a background in entrepreneurship. I have a background in thought leadership. You know, I graduated with a master's degree from Georgetown University, an Ivy League school near the top of my class. And all those are pretty amazing things. But the most amazing thing that I'm the most proud of is that I'm my father's son, Napoleon Billou's son, and I am a professional believer in people.
Thank you. What helped you awaken to your titanic power? And how did that lead you onto the journey of helping others to get paid through podcast guesting?
That's a great question. So a few years ago, I had a big part of my business be a mastermind that I did, an in-person mastermind with 7 and 8 figure owners. And we were doing really, really well with it. But I let a fellow into that mastermind who basically didn't listen and just wanted to sell his services to everybody else. That was a big mistake. I should have fired him, but I didn't. He blew up the mastermind. And about $500,000 worth of income disappeared on me pretty quickly. And I needed to replace that income. So I went to my coach. His name is Mark Von Musser. And this is Mark here on the back of the book. And he used to be Tony Robbins' director of coaching and training. And he said to me, Nicky, why don't we start putting you on podcasts as a guest in order to get clients? I go, how would that work? He said, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Start going on shows. So we started putting me on shows. I found Podmatch. That's how you and I met. I went on a lot of shows. I went on 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100. The first 100 times I went on a show, I made no money from it. But I learned a ton. I learned what didn't work. I would do debriefs with Mark, and finally it all clicked. And when it all clicked, I started to understand what would make it possible to get leads, sales, and clients. Would you like me to share you some of the secrets of how to do that?
Yes.
So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a strong intention to go on a show to get leads, sales, and clients. Most people tell you to go on a show and have as your intention, have a great conversation. That's good, but that's not going to get you leads. That's not going to get you sales. That's not going to get you clients. Another intention they tell you to have is go and get followers. You'll get more followers if you go on a show. And that's great too. But followers aren't leads. They're not sales, and they're not clients. They're weak intentions. They're wimpy intentions. And so I realized your intention for going on the show needs to be to actually get leads and sales and clients. The power of intention. I'm sure you've heard this. There's books written about the topic. You must have a strong intention of why you're doing what you're doing, because without a strong intention, you're not going to hit the target. So people say, okay, Nicky, so my is to get leads. Is that all I got to do? No, well, of course not. And your intention needs to be a little bit subtler than just to get leads and sales. The first thing I do when I go on a show is I want to bring energy, passion, because there's people listening to your show. And the good people listening to your show, maybe the last few years have been a little bit hard on them. Maybe they're listening to shows because that's the daily dose of inspiration. So I got to inspire the audience. My energy, my passion's got to inspire the audience. Secondly, Lily, you're spending time, energy, money putting on a show. It's a big risk when you bring a guest on the show. If the guest doesn't do a good job, that could hurt your brand. So for me, I want to make sure that I do a phenomenal job for you. So you are like, wow, this guy was great. I want him back. Amazing. So I got to make sure that I make you look good. That's my other intention. But Lily, this is very powerful. The final intention is I want to build a business relationship with you, the host, your audience. So you are a business owner. Every host is a business owner. You and I, we could do business together. I could buy from you. You could buy from me. We could do joint ventures together. I could refer people to you. You could refer people to me. Every time I go on a show, I meet one other business person for my network. You think about this. If you go on 100 shows a year, that's 100 new contacts. All of them business people, all of them seekers, all of them looking to move forward in life. And I'm old school, you can tell. I got a lot of gray in my beard, right? I'm not a young person. And because of this, you can also tell old school people, we do business with people we know, we like, and we trust. And what's a great way for us to build know, like, and trust? We spend half an hour, 45 minutes together today. We get to know each other. We get to like each other. We get to trust each other. That's how you end up doing business. So to me, that's a very powerful intention that everybody should have, you know? And if you have that as an intention, that's going to go really well for you. Now, when I learned all this, the 100 shows, I got no clients, but over a 2-year period, I went on shows 5 to 7 hours a week, and I made $410,000 in sales in 2 years from being a podcast guest.
Thank you. How can that podcast guesting
translate into actual sales? And I'm talking not only by business with the podcaster, but also how do you turn what you say into a business relationship with the audience listening to you?
Well, obviously, the answer to that is a little bit more complicated than I can say to you here, right? That's why we wrote the book, because there's a number of steps you have to take to do that. But you need to be in a situation as the guest where you're not just coming on to have a conversation. You follow me? You're not just coming and saying whatever and leaving. You have to plan your appearance like you would plan a TEDx talk, right? They give you 18 minutes in a TEDx talk. You can't have a wasted word. So same on a podcast. The first thing you got to do is you got to introduce yourself. Now, you saw what I did on the show. I introduced myself. I told you my backstory. It's a very real backstory. I told you the story of my father. I told you the story of Iran. The job of that story is to have you get to know me, to have you say, hey, this guy's pretty interesting. I like, you know what I mean? He's someone I want to get to know more. I want to hear more about what he has to say, So if I just came on the show without doing any of that and said, well, let me tell you about podcast guesting, you're going to go, well, who is this joker? Why is he coming on my show? And that's what the audience is going to think as well. The first thing you got to do is establish some rapport. That means tell your story in a real way, in an authentic way. So no BS, no lie, no embellishment, right? Because all this stuff can easily be looked. This is the age of the internet. If you're a liar, that's not a good thing to be. I'm a Christian. I believe in telling the truth. So be honest, be truthful, be real, be authentic. People are looking for authenticity. But if they don't get to know you, nothing's going to happen. That's step one. Step two. You got to be talking about a topic that can help people. Obviously, right? You can't just come on and say, well, I had bananas for breakfast today. That was really great. Let me tell you what bananas taste like in my mouth. I mean, come on, who the heck wants to hear that kind of stuff? You got to talk about something that can help people. So I wrote this book to help people go on podcasts and be a guest and make money. There's a lot of people in business today that need ways to make money. They need ways to get clients. So this is helpful. The offering is helpful. That's very important. Next, you need good stories. They can't all be about you. So let me tell you a story about one of my clients. I think that's a really good thing to do. So I had a fellow come and he actually did a workshop that I did called Get Booked and Get Paid. And he's an accountant. Lily, some accountants, I'm sure. They're not usually the most charismatic people in the world. Would you agree? With high energy. They're usually a little bit more reserved, conservative, right? That's this guy. He's reserved and he's conservative. But he came and he said, okay, I'm going to go on some shows. And he went on some shows. And here was the incredible thing. He went on the show and the host really liked what he had to say. And she said, I have a whole bunch of my clients who I think should meet you. As a result of that podcast guest appearance, this fellow was able to get 10 client appointments. 10. And 3 of them signed up to become his clients at $12,000 each. That's $36,000 from a single podcast appearance. And he's not like me. He's not a guy with a lot of energy and passion, right? He's quiet. He's reserved. So what does this tell you? If you're listening to this, you're going, do I need to be like Nicky? Do I need to have crazy energy? No, you don't need to have crazy energy. You can be quiet and reserved like an accountant. And you can still go on a podcast and you can still generate leads, sales, and clients. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, I love what you're doing as well, that I'm kind of inferring from what you're doing. And what you're doing is also you are using undercover selling, right? You are talking about your brand story and you're inserting it in it. For example, your book, you're talking about your course, you were talking about your case study. So these are also some powerful techniques to use in order to turn your podcast guesting appearance into clients, leads, and sales. Am I right there?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Tell us about the structure of a really good storytelling technique that you are leveraging in order to have more effective podcast guesting that turns into clients, leads, and sales.
That's great. Well, I just told you one, right? The story that I told you is one example of how to tell the story. So I'll tell you another story because I think this will be another example of how to do it. I think real case studies are the best way to do it rather than theory. So I had this other client and he's Belgian. His name is Mathieu. Not Matthew, but Mathieu. He's Belgian. And he has a really cool accent, and he kind of looks like Jesus. He's very tall. He's got the beard. He's got the long hair, and he's a beautiful guy with a lot of high energy and passion. But English isn't his first language. You know what I'm saying? And he came and he did the course, and he said, okay, I'm going to go on some podcasts. Let's go, Nicky, let's go. I go, all right, Mathieu, let's go. And so he went on some shows. And what he sells is he's an expert in gardening. And he's an expert in regenerative farming. So not everybody thinks they need a garden or a regenerative farm. You know what I mean? It's not exactly what you would say a program that everybody wants, but there's people who do want it. And he went on a show, and remember, he has an accent. English isn't his first language. He sometimes doesn't say the right thing in the right way, right? But he went on the show. He went on. Incredible. And out of the way I taught him to speak, he booked a call with somebody, and he made a 3,000 euro sale. 3,000 euros. And then he came to me, he said, Nicky, this is amazing. Oh my God, I made a sale on my very first podcast. That's phenomenal. And I said to him, Mathieu, so what did you do? He said, well, I told my stories, and I showed what life was like before. I showed that this person worked with me, and I showed what life was like after. So you notice I'm doing this with Mathieu. He's got an accent, you know what I mean? And he's looking for clients. So that's what life was like before. He did my course, took my coaching. This is what happened. Life after. First show he went on, he made a 3,000 euro sale. But the story gets better. Lily, you're going to love this part of the story. He decided to continue to work with us for 90 days on getting more effective at selling. And we have this challenge we call 90,000 in 90 days, 90K in 90 days, right? And she said, okay, I'm in, let's go. I love challenges. He made $121,000 in 84 days. The last 6 days he took off on vacation. And not dollars, euros, not even dollars, euros. Euros are worth more than dollars. That would have been like $135,000. And how did this happen? This happened because, first of all, Mathieu was coachable. Second of all, followed the process. And thirdly, he was excited and he was ready to get to work. So you want to think about this. What kind of person will be successful with this type of methodology? First of all, it needs to be somebody who's hungry. They have a pain. They need more clients. They want to get more business. They want to build more relationships with people. Secondly, what's going to make them successful is they got to do what we show them how to do. They got to go on shows, tell the stories the way we tell them to the stories, and they've got to make sure that they do it very, very well, and don't make up their own method. You know, when you bake a cake and it says pour salt, you can't say, you know what, instead of a pinch of salt, I'm going to put a pinch of pepper. It's going to ruin the whole recipe. The cake's not going to taste good, right? Same with podcast guesting. You got to do what we show you how to do in the book. Don't make changes. Don't go, I don't like this. I think I want to put this instead. It's not going to work for you. Trust me, it's not going to work for you, right? So they do that, then they're going to get really, really good results. And that's what happened for Mathieu, and that's what happened for the accountant fellow, the first one. His name is Matthew, but he's like a North American guy. Matthew and Mathieu. So it's kind of a bit of a coincidence, but it's cool.
Thank you. What I loved as well from this story that you just told, as well, is that you inserted a lot of color into it, so much so that you can sense, you can kind of create a picture in your head about the fact that, you know, how this person potentially looked like, or, you know, that he had an accent. And I think it's important when you tell your brand story on one of these podcast guesting platforms that you tell it in a colorful way, so that it's not black and white, because when it's black and white, it's harder for the listener or for the watcher to get an idea of the kind of story you're really telling. And I think it's easier as well because you're telling it with so much energy that you are in a way a lot of energy into the minds of the listeners as well. So even as I'm feeling, oh my God, you are so cool. You have such great stories. You have such great results. And I think that is the purpose of every podcast guesting appearance, that you look like the kind of guy who is an expert, who has the authority to talk about the topic, who is also mentioning your different programs that you are doing throughout the story. And that way you are in a way the path towards, you know what, this is an amazing program because, you know, Matthew and Mathieu, they both got great results. Therefore, how about if I read the book? How about if I did the 90-day program? How about if I did the whatever else is, you know, next? And it's a way for people to really, you can say, buy into the story without actually feeling sold.
Exactly.
Right? That's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Here's another thing. You know, if you're a woman and you're listening to this, you're going, okay, you told me 2 stories of men. This doesn't work for women. It works for women too. It works for women. Let me tell you a story about a woman. I think that's important. So I had this woman. She came and she did our program, and she is originally a medical doctor, but she has some very specific expertise helping doctors who want to set up med spas, you know, the places where they do the Botox injections and all that sort of thing. So she came to us and did the podcast guesting course and said, okay, how do I use this? How do I make this work for myself? So a couple of pretty amazing things happened. First of all, we helped her get really clear on who she was going after, which was the people who were the med spa owners. Secondly, we helped her get her message together. So when you go on a show, your message has to be good. You can't just, like I said, be saying anything to anybody. You have to have a very, very careful message. She had a very careful message. And from being a guest on several podcasts, her authority and her credibility started to go up because she could show people, hey, look, I'm not just a doctor. I'm a doctor who's been on this big show and show. So her brand credibility started to go up. And then out of going on shows, she was able to get some connections, a little bit indirectly, but the show really helped do it. Without the show, it wouldn't have happened. And she was able to, because of this, do a pitch to an audience of 12 med spa owners. Okay. So of the 12, 4 were interested, right? So 1 out of every 3. Amazing. Now, of the 4 that were interested, she made a sale to 1. Now you're thinking to yourself, 1 out of 4, not bad. 1 out of 12 for the whole, it's okay. But this is the part, Lily, you're going to really love. That sale was $550,000 profit. 1 sale. 32 days later, same person came and said, I think I need more. Price out the next piece that I need to do to grow this. 500,000 more. In 32 days, from podcast guesting, $1,050,000. And it was a woman. So you're asking yourself, these men, they did good. They made a few thousand, but the woman, she made $1 million from this. Incredible.
Wow, that's really mind-blowing. So tell us, what other techniques are there in order to turn the potential listeners into clients, leads, and sales?
That's a really, really good question. I'm going to say this to you. Why this works is because this is what I call a blue ocean. Have you heard of a book called Blue Ocean Strategy? Do you know this book?
Yes, I have.
Do you know the theory of a blue ocean versus a red ocean?
Mm-hmm.
So let me explain for your listener. Okay. A lot of the ways people are marketing today are red oceans. Let's be honest. They're still a bit effective, right? Like I have 11 books. Fantastic. Amazing. Lots of people have books these days. Is a book a bad idea? A book's an amazing idea. That's why I write them. That's why I wrote this book. But there's a lot of people who write books these days. There's a lot of people right now who do advertising on Facebook and on TikTok and on YouTube. Are these bad ideas? No, they're not bad ideas. They're amazing. They work. But there's lots of competition for the same level of attention. You follow me? It's a red ocean. Like the sharks are going after the same meat. The water's bloody. They're biting each other a little bit. But podcast guesting, it's a blue ocean right now. Now, why is it blue ocean? Because most people who go on shows, they go, well, I like to get sales. I like to get leads. But they're not going on shows going, I'm getting sales. I'm getting leads. And I have a plan on how to do it. That's why it's a blue ocean. That's why when I go on shows, I get on lots of shows. I've been a guest on 630 podcasts. That's why they call me the world's greatest podcast guest, because I've been on a lot of shows, right? And not many people are doing this. And the people that are doing it are agencies, and they charge you $2,000 to $20,000 a month to get you on 1, 2, 3, 4 shows. And they'll just go on show, and then do a great job, look right, wear the right colors, have good lighting. All those things are important, but none of those things are going to get you a sale. What I'm talking about gets you a sale. If you do what I tell you to do and you go on enough shows, you will make money. Money, beautiful, wonderful, and money from that God has given to us to be able to create beautiful things for the people we love. And that's what makes it good. You got to be thinking blue ocean and use the strategy. And to do this, look, pick up this book. It's available on Amazon, Get Booked and Get Paid, by Nicky Billou. I'm the only Nicky Billou in the world. Nickybillou, one of one. You go on Amazon, you type in my name, it'll show up. The cost for the book is $5 as a Kindle, $4.99 even, less than $5. It's $18 for a paperback and $25 for a hardcover. If you believe in yourself, you need to believe in investing in you. I'll tell you that to be successful, Lily, there's 4 qualities you must have. Number 1, you got to be decisive. What does this mean? You got to make a decision. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to go on podcasts and I'm going to get leads, clients, and sales. Decisive. Secondly, this is really important. You got to be committed. The first couple of shows you go on, maybe you're not going to be the best that you're ever going to be. You're going to be like, not so great. You know, that's okay. You get better. It's like going to the gym. First time, it's not so good. By the 100th time, it's really good. So you go from good to okay, to good, to amazing. That's how it works. You got to commit and do the work. It's not going to happen by itself. Of course, listen to me, read the book, or come to our course, and you'll short circuit a lot of mistakes. But honestly, that's what you got to do. The third thing you got to be is coachable, and you got to be an investor in you. You are the most important asset in your life and in your business. If you don't invest in you, you're crazy. Businesses invest in their assets all the time. They invest in training. Big corporations, they invest in expensive training for their people all the time. You might not be a big corporation. You still need to find a way to invest in you. Robin Sharma, who used to be a client of mine when I was a fitness trainer, said to me one day, he's the author of the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, sold like 15 million copies. He said to me one day, Nicky, if you want to grow your business, you want to double it, triple your investment in personal and professional development, hire a coach, join a mastermind, attend a conference, do a course, read a book. So that year, the year before, I'd spent like $3,000 on personal and professional development. That year I spent $10,000, tripled it, over doubled my income. The next year I spent $25,000, over doubled my income. If you believe in success, you need to believe in investing in you and being coachable and listening to your coach. It's very important. Very, very, very important. So you have an authoring program. You help people create brands through books. If there's people that are listening to your course right now, your podcast right now, I'm going to tell you, have you written a book? No? Call Lily and write a book with her. Do it right away. Don't even think about it. Are you crazy? You don't have a book? You must have a book. It's a big part of your branding if you're in business for yourself. I have 11 books. You should have at least one. Come on. Are you crazy? Don't wait. Invest. You must. And here's the last piece. You got to be resourceful. That means what? That means you got to put the time, the money, the energy to get to the level of success that you're looking for. And I'll tell you this story, Lily, that you're going to love. About 14, 15 years ago, I was married, and my wife at the time didn't want to be married to me anymore. So she kicked me out of the house. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. I was, what? What just happened? And I'm sleeping on my couch, and I feel I'm spiraling, man. I made no money for a year, no money. A friend of mine, he took pity on me. He bought me a ticket to go to a conference. I went to the conference with him. I put on a suit, but I wasn't feeling good. I was like mopey like this. And there was a speaker. And what he had to say, Lily, it spoke to my soul. When the talk was over, I ran up to him and I said, my name's Nicky Billou. Here's my story. I think I need to hire you. He looks at me, he goes, okay. He said, but you need to understand, minimum fee is $5,000 for 5 hours of coaching with me and consulting. You still want to do it? I'm like, oh my God, I've made no money in the last year. I got no money. I'll give you some free coaching. I said, oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. He said, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I'm like, wait. I need to give you $5,000? What do you mean? Of course it matters how much money I have. He said, listen to me. I have 20 people that are lined up there ready to work with me. I don't need your business. You need me. Okay, you're right. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You know what matters? How bad do you want change? Your wife kicked you out of the house. You can't see your 2 sons. And you haven't made money for a year, right? He said, how long do you want this to continue? A day? A week? A month? A year? A lifetime? That hit me right there. I'm like, no. Give me a days, I'll come see you again. So I was a trainer then. I started calling people and I said to them, hey, it's Nicky. I got good news for you. They said, what's the good news? I said, you're fat and you need to lose weight or you're going to get diabetes, heart attack, stroke, cancer. We got to do something about this. Agreed? I go, yeah. I said, I'm broke and I need money or else I won't be able to see my 2 sons. I said, so we have a reason to work together. Yeah. I said, I'm going to give you the same deal I was going to give you, but half price. But here's the catch. You need to answer me right now. Yes or no? And if it's yes, I need you to send me money right now while we're on the phone. So what's it going to be? 2 guys said yes. They sent me $1,000 each. I was so excited. It was the first money I'd made in like over a year. So I went to see this guy. His name was Bill. I said, Bill, here's $2,000. I was so excited. And he looked at the money and he said, thank you. But I said $5,000. I said, oh my God. I said, Bill, buddy, how many people have you told this story to? He said, over the years, maybe 30, 40. I'm like, wow, 30 or 40, eh? And he said to me, I said to him, sorry. I said, who else ever came back to you with money? He said, nobody. You're the first. I'm the first? He goes, yeah. I said, then take my $2,000. I'm going to sign a contract that says I'll pay you the rest within 30 or 60 days, whatever the case may be. And let's get going because I want change bad. He agreed. The rest is history. Within 6 months, I made 6 figures and I paid him back 1 day early. And the question I have for your listener and for you is your current situation in your business. Are you happy with it? Are you making all the money you should be making? Are you having the impact you should be having with people? Or is the answer to that no? You're not making as much money as you should be. You're not getting all the leads and the sales that you should be. And you're not having the impact or the fulfillment. And you feel bad about it. You're frustrated. You're upset. You may be losing some faith in yourself. And if that's the case, how bad do you want change? Are you willing to put up with this situation the way it is for another day, another week, another month, maybe a year? Hopefully not a lifetime. Whatever the answer to that question is, if the answer is you want to change, then it's time to act. And what you do is, if you don't have a book, you contact Lily. If you have a book, contact me. And we get you to learn about podcast guesting. Or at the very least, buy this book and read it. Buy this book right now and read it, at the very least.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.